I do believe that Falconer X is also alluding to Scott Frost with his comment,
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
made the same comment last night. He
Listen,
threw in a Frosty comment.
here's the thing. And I don't mean to quote Manny Diaz to spite him. I mean to quote him by he was right in this viewpoint. It isn't about getting a name or just a scheme. It's about getting the right fit, making it right. Okay. Let's say we bring in who everybody wants. It's LSU spread, air it out, put up 60 points and win, blow everybody out like 2019 LSU. Do you think that that works with Coach Mario Cristobal and the way that he would want to play and the brand in which that he would want to play? Probably not. Okay. So how do we get to the point where, in my personal opinion, we could mix the power pistol that Coach Cristobal was successful with at Oregon with the modern offense that most people would like to see, more air raid spread view? And the perfect mixture is what's known as the power spread. There's a couple people that run this power spread, in my personal opinion, to a great degree. Dan Mullen, former head coach, Mississippi State, former head coach, University of Florida, former offensive coordinator in other stints. And I believe he was Urban Meyer's offensive coordinator too at one point.
Yes.
The other person I would say that runs the power spread, currently running things and kicking crap at Ohio State, just loses 1 or 2 games a year, and people think it's a bad year. Ryan Day. Okay. Now, Ryan Day really leaned a little bit more 70 run, 30 pass this year to prove a point, not only to his team, but also to the opponents of the physicality. You're not going to get Ryan Day. I'm just putting names out there to give you all examples of what I think Coach Cristobal wants to see at Miami, and that is the proper power spread. These two run it well. Now, one that's a little too run heavy and a little too power would have been Urban Meyer's version of Ohio State when Ryan Day was just the OC and Urban Meyer was very influential in the offensive game plan, which why you see Zeke Elliott. This you see the last first round offensive lineman came from that stint because they were very aggressive at the point of attack. Another version that people may go, because of what's happening with him as a head coach and them losing games on the defensive side of the ball. But Lincoln Riley's offense, a lot of you all may look and feel that it's super pass heavy. But when you look back at Oklahoma, he has half a dozen NFL guys on his offensive line, running backs that were running for 1,000 yards almost every year. RPO game, whether it was Jalen Hurts, whether it was Baker Mayfield, whether it was Kyler Murray, was very, very kind of balanced in the way that they attacked the run and were very physical. All right. These are examples of what we should see. Now, out of all the examples that I said, there's only one person that's open right now. Doesn't have a job. Quoted to have been in Miami recently. Don't know if it was for Coral Gables specifically. Could have been just on a vacation with his family, and that's Dan Mullen. He's an offensive. He's a guy I wanted as a head coach at one point because I think what he brings to the table is a little quirky, he's a little weird, but everybody has their thing. Dabo likes to dance with his players in the middle of the circle. Hey, if it's successful and the young people and their families respond to it, it's all that matters. Okay. I would love to see Dan Mullen. But another name has recently popped up, Mark. A very recent name. Thank you for putting it up there. Scott Frost. Now, I think about his UCF offenses. I like it. But then I think about his Nebraska offenses, and I'm like, But then you have to think. Talent level, conference, big difference. When he was in the Power Five, he was in the Group of Five with the UCF offense, and it was explosive. They were doing pretty well. But who also was there with him building that offense? Do you remember, Mark?
Josh Heupel?
Yes. One of the best offensive minds in college football right now. Very successful. Little unorthodox with the alignment of their wide receivers and the way that they can just attack you based on that. Very, very wide, hugging the sidelines. So when they have these in-breaking routes, there's no help. And if the timing is there, it's boom. Ask Alabama. But I say these things because would hiring Scott Frost be just the name, or is hiring Scott Frost going to be able to bring power spread to Miami the way that we think it should be played? Then there's another name, Mark. Doug Nussmeier. That's recently just kind of evolved. It's a little smoke around it. Again, I don't claim to have all these connections. I don't know. I'm giving you names. I'm giving you offensive schemes. Why? Because I want you all to just get in the thought process of not what you think would work, not what you would do if you had the control of a video game, not what you would do if you were the AD. You have to try to think about what would fit well, personality-wise, philosophy-wise, how to attack defense-wise, how to recruit-wise, connections in recruiting-wise. These things, you have to think about that when it comes to what Coach Cristobal and his system does. Now, Coach Nussmeyer is a quarterbacks guy, similar to some of the other people we brought up. And, he's been at Alabama, won a national championship in 2012 with Alabama. He's been at Florida. He was the offensive coordinator over the time that Central Michigan head coach, we used to make fun of him because he looked like a dude that was hugged up on a shark. Yellow teeth. What's his name? Mark, what's his name? Former Florida head coach, got fired from Florida, went to Central Michigan.
Jim McElwain.
Yes, former offensive coordinator at Alabama too. Coach McElwain. He was his offensive coordinator at Florida. Talk about Doug Nussmeier. Now, again, at that time you had Treon Harris, Miami Booker T. Washington, quarterback, went up there and ran their spread RPO and did pretty successful there. So he's also been the quarterback's coach for the Cowgirls the last couple of years, worked tight ends a little bit too, has spent some time, played in the NFL, went to Idaho, things of this nature, okay? A name. These are things that you have to keep running through your head. Another person that I would say, Jason Candle. Now, Jason Candle, offensive coordinator of mine, head coach currently at Toledo, has done pretty well for himself as the head coach of Toledo. I think he's been averaging about 9 games a year in the win-loss record. I love his offense. Reason why he really stuck out to me is back in 2017, the great defense that everyone loves in 2017. Do you know who gave up the most yards? Who that team gave up the most yards to, Mark?
Isn't that the year Toledo and Miami played? Yeah.
Week 3.
42-13. That comes to mind. Maybe I'm wrong.
But it might be in there. I think it's a 42-13 game. 45-13, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
500 yards, Mark. The defense gave up. Explosive, underneath, up tempo, slowed it down, QB power, slot. I mean, it was an amazing offensive output against this very talented, NFL-rated, talented and aggressive defense. Okay, that's another name that I think would do very, very well with Coach Cristobal. So, again, us media people, we can only just give you a list. None of us really know, unless you're best friends with Coach Cristobal. None of us really know. But we do know what we don't want. And what we don't want is to continue to go backwards. Rhett Lashley stepped in here and showed what this program can be capable of, leaning to the spread. In the spread thought processes, in the spread approach.